So the first thing I'm going to do is make the legs, and I'm going to take some red fondant and some white fondant, roll out. This is enough fondant for 2 legs. And roll them about out to the point that they're almost the size that I want them to be. Made the ends a little bit smaller because that's where the feet are going to be. And then I'm going to take my white fondant and roll that out. And roll that out. And I'm just putting my fingers over the areas that are fat. So, and just sort of drawing my hands out slowly. See, there's a little bit fatter here than it is there. So, try and stay away from the thin places and focus on the parts that are thick. I think this is going to be way too much, but it'll be fine. So I'm going to start at one end. Just work my way around. Try not to tear my weight. I'm kind of pressing them on as I go around so that the line looks nice and flat. And then I'm going to go ahead and roll this all together. Until it's basically flush and worked in there. Okay. And then we're going to cut this in half. And this is going to be our first leg, about, I'd say a little bit less than half. Start defining the calf by just pinching in with your thumb and defining where the knee is. So the calf is thicker at the top, thinner down by the foot. I'm going to start bringing this to a point. And I'm not going to define her foot because we're going to put little booties on her. A little pinch where her knee is. Check how we're doing here. You see her foot goes right about to the bottom, which works out really great because then the table will support her foot. And then I'm just going to do the same thing to this leg. Pinch for the knee. so. Alright. And then I'm just going to save this just in case I need it. Bring back my red here. And she's going to be wearing a little skirt. So I'm going to take a little bit of my gum glue, which is Tylose powder mixed with water. Roll a little ball and put that over the top and smush that down onto her legs. And around the pole here. And that creates sort of like her hips and her, so we're going to make her skirt. Taking a little bit of red, roll that out into a ball, put a little powdered sugar down. Rotating is the key to making a circle. See, even this is not very circular. So if this is a flat area, I roll towards the part that I want to be rounded. Take a little bit of my gum glue, just lightly, not too much. Put a little bit of that around. Doesn't look like I have quite enough of my white left, so I'm going to roll out some more. Good. Just press that on as I go. Cut off the end. And I'm just going to smush this down a little bit so it's flatter. And put that on in the middle. There's her little skirt. Okay, I'm going to do the body. A little more gum glue. A little more red. Roll into a ball. And then into, I don't know, like a oval. Elongated oval. That's not quite enough. A little bit more here. If you're not very good at doing figures and you don't understand proportions, the best thing you can do for yourself is to look at a reference photo. Find a picture of a person sitting or whatever pose you want them to be in and just look at it. And even if your figure doesn't end up looking exactly the same, it's going to help you a lot. So I'm going to check, yeah, looks about right. Make some little breasts here. And slide that on. Right now I'm trying to define her breasts and also her shoulder area where her arms are going to be attached. use the ball tool to make a little indentation where her arms are going to attach. Make sure my body isn't too squished, too squat. See that so far? Okay. Then I'm going to use a little bit of my gum glue around the waist. I want to give her a belt. So I'm going to take a little bit of my black, roll that out. Use my roller here to flatten this. Trim one side. Wrap that all the way around. Let go. Okay, take some of our white here. And make her a belt. So I just kind of stuck it on there, and then once it's stuck on there, I'm going to use this tool to sort of straighten things out. Pulling into the corners. This is not really super important because she's going to be holding a package, a Christmas package. So you might not even see this, but just in case you don't want her to be holding a package, I thought I would show you how to do it anyway. So there's a little belt. And the way I make a square is I basically just pinch the top and the bottom, rotate, pinch the top and the bottom, rotate, pinch the top and the bottom. You got basically a square, and then I'm going to pinch all the edges. And this will not be a perfect square, but this is the way I do it. It's the easiest for me. I don't use a lot of molds for things, or I don't know, I mostly just form stuff with my hands, so if you've got a better way of making a square, definitely do that. This is how I do it. Put that right there on her lap. Let's put a ribbon on this, shall we? Because what is Christmas without a ribbon? Go back to my white that I have here. Flatten this out. And washed it off. So that's probably about as much as we need. Just nice and thin. I'm just going to do the front because that's the only part that's showing. And you could do, you know, a different kind of bow, but I'm going to just do the traditional sort of bow. Just fold the two ends over and then pinch in the middle. Flip it over. It's kind of a big bow. It's okay though. Push up the edges there. Define the middle space. And the center of the bow. A couple little lines. And I think that's good. Next is the arms. So we'll get a little bit of our gum glue and moisten each shoulder and maybe down the side a little bit and the side of the package because she's going to be holding the package. So some more of our red. And the arms are very much like the legs. You know, you have the bicep and the forearm and then an area for the hands. Roll into a ball. Although the arms are much thinner than the legs. Make sure that's about half. And this does not include the hands, so don't make them too long. So this is the left arm, and this is the right arm. And just going to define the inside part of the elbow just a little bit, and pinch out the elbow so that it bends naturally. I'm going to use this tool to create a space for her hand. Just do that to the other side. Okay. We're going to take some of our ivory fondant, which is just white with a little bit of ivory food color added. Get this. Take a little bit of the gum glue, and just a little bit. Don't want it to be too gooey in there. Small amount of ivory. Roll it out just a little bit for the wrist. Go ahead and put that into the sleeve and flatten out that. Make sure you're putting the thumb on the inside curve of the hand here. About halfway down, make a small slice. Turn, slice off so it looks like that. And then we're going to do 1 finger, 2 finger, 3, 4, and then very carefully roll and pinch each finger. Before I put her on, I'm just going to put a little bit of white around her wrists because I think that looks cute. I'm going to start the seam on the underside. So that it doesn't show. I'm also going to use this tool to give her a couple creases in her arm so that it looks natural. I'm going to flatten out the part where I'm going to attach her shoulder so it looks like the seam of her shirt. Just attach just like that. There's one arm. Do the other arm just the same. Almost forgotten to flatten out her shoulder. Okay. So now that we're at this stage, I can see about how tall her head's going to be. So I'm going to take my scissors and mark, and then take my wire cutters, hold the base of the lollipop stick so it doesn't bend, and just snap off that top part that I don't need. And I'm going to take a little bit of my ivory fondant to put her neck. And I actually just wrap this around. So I'm just going to wrap that around like that. And then I'm going to take some more of my white. About how much you want to be, and go ahead and take your ivory fondant and dip it in some Tylose powder and work that in. Now I do this so that the face dries really fast because you can't finish the hair and the hat until the face is dry. So I normally would let this sit overnight while the face is curing. Roll into a ball. Get out any cracks or anything. I feel like that's just a teensy bit too small. And since this is a topper, I want her head to be a little bit bigger than it would be realistically, just because you can see the features better. It just looks a little bit more cartoony. Alright, that looks about right. So I'm going to form that into an oval. I'm going to define where I want her eyes to be, about in the center. And then pull out with my thumb sort of define the front of her face. And I'm going to use a medium ball tool to sort of define her eye area a little bit more. Now remember, this is going to be an elf, so her features are going to be very pointy and cute. I'm going to make her a little pointy chin. And normally I would pinch out the nose, but I want her nose to be like really upturned and small. So I'm just going to take a very, very small amount of ivory fondant, form it into a teardrop. Put that right there. And then I'm going to use my ball tool to smooth out the seam. Make her a very cute little upturned nose. Define the cheeks. My throat's scratchy a little bit, sorry. To make the mouth, I'm going to start in the corners. Press up. Same on this side. Pull that open just a little bit to make room for her teeth. Take a little bit of white. Put that in there. And push the teeth further back in the corners than I do in the front to simulate a more realistic smile. I'm going to use this tool to make her look even smilier. Make sure her chin is nice and pointed. I'm going to use this very small ball tool to make an area for her eyes. And I want her eyes to be pretty big because she's an elf. Bigger than I normally make. So, and then take some more white. Not too much. Just enough that the white is flush with the ivory. That in there. You know, and her face gets kind of misshapen during this process, and that's fine. I just shape it back. Some things you want to just be making sure are that her chin is not misshapen, that her cheeks are full, that she does not have a slanted forehead that's too slanted. Her nose looks right. Again, you can use a reference material if you feel like you can't really understand what's wrong. It's very easy to look at a picture and kind of use it, say, oh yeah, this looks weird. Then got just a small amount of pink. That's just a little bit of red and white mixed together. And I'm going to give her some lips. Just putting a teensy bit gum glue on her face here. Do the first one. Roll out a very, very small amount in my finger. Put that on there. push those ends into the corners. Slightly more for the bottom lip. Same process. I'm just going to define her around her mouth just a little bit. I want the bottoms of her eyes to be slightly upturned. So I'm just going to push her cheeks up just a little bit. So that she just looks really, really happy. And then a little bit of gum glue on the lollipop stick and at the top of the neck. Hold the sides and the top of the head. Nice pointy chin. So I take a little bit of my ivory fondant and roll it into a ball and then into a teardrop shape. Just put that on the side of her head and then use my small ball tool to indent and blend the edge into her face. And I want these to be some pretty big ears so that she is definitely a elf. But you can make yours smaller, of course, if you wanted to, or leave them off altogether if you wanted to. Make sure they're even. Let her totally dry. I'm going to put some green shoes on her. Get her bottoms of her feet a little wet with some gum glue. Small amount of green. Roll that into a ball and then flatten out into a long skinny thing. Pull one of her legs up here from the back around about where you think her ankle would be. so. Do the same to the other side. There. Slightly larger piece. A long skinny shape. Kind of looks like a Christmas tree. Take our ball tool in the back and pinch around it. Slide that up to the point. Flatten out the bottom. And you could leave those pointy like that, but I'm going to curl mine a little bit. To the other side. I'm just going to put one little white dot. Right there. Make sure her feet look cute. Her little toes together like that. I'm gonna let her dry for a couple hours and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to finish the face and the hair and we'll be all done. Okie dokie, so it's been a couple hours and my elf is pretty firm. So I'm going to start adding her hair. And I'm just going to make it a little bit lighter green than her clothing, just because I feel like it and I do what I want. So you could do whatever you want, whatever color you feel like, but I'm going to make her hair green. So I'm going to start with some hair around her neck and shoulders. And the way I do this is I basically roll out pieces of fondant or pinch them out, I guess. And I just kind of like cut some strips. And I put some, preferably with a clean tool, some lines in there. If you let any fondant or gum paste dry on your tools, it leaves like a sticky edge. So I tend to have some water and a towel nearby at all times to clean my tools as I go. Put one behind her ear. Okay, that's the first layer of hair. And now I'm going to draw on her eyes. I'm just going to draw a nice big circle. And going to put just a teensy bit of gum glue over her eyelids and her eyes, and I'm going to add some eyelashes by doing the same technique we did for her lips. Just want push that down. Tip up. She looks funny bald. And I'm going to do the same thing, but for her eyebrows. Try and make one end thicker than the other. Put in some lines. And I'm gonna finish the back of her hair. Sort of blend that in a little bit. Cute little ears. Roll into a cone. Then we're going to hollow out the inside with our finger, pinching the edges. We're going to make a little indentation about halfway down. Put that right on top of her head. And I want this part to be fairly long and skinny, because I think that's cute, but you can do whatever you want. Put a little gum glue on the end there. Take some more white. And a little hole in the end. There we go. This is optional, but I always do this. I take some bright white food color and I give my figures a little highlight in their eyes, and that just gives it that little extra bit of realism. So use a very, very tiny brush. And I just all finished and ready to go on top of a cake for your holiday event or just for fun. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more tutorial updates. And if you have a suggestion for a tutorial that you want to see, be sure to check it out. Or if you have a tutorial that you want to see, be sure to leave a comment and suggestion, and I will try to make that happen. Again, my name is Elizabeth Merrick, and thank you for watching. Happy holidays!